A 7-year-old boy falls off his bike. He scrapes his knee. He looks up at his mother, and before a single tear falls, she rushes over, picks him up, and says, oh no, you're okay, come here, let me fix it. She kisses the scrape. She hands him a snack. She tells him he doesn't have to get back on the bike today if he doesn't want to. That mother loves her son deeply. There is no question about that. But in that one moment, in that single act of love, she taught him something she never intended to teach. She taught him that pain is an emergency. That discomfort needs to be erased. That when something hard happens, someone else will come fix it. And he learned that lesson, not once, but 1,000 times over the next 10 years. By the time he's 17, he can't handle a bad grade without shutting down. He can't deal with a friend who doesn't text back without spiraling. He can't sit with a problem long enough to solve it because no one ever let him. Every hard moment of his childhood was taken away before he could do anything with it. Here's the thing most parents don't realize. Raising a strong child has almost nothing to do with what you give them. It has everything to do with what you let them feel. We live in a world where parenting has slowly become about protection, about removing obstacles, about making sure your child never has to suffer. And it comes from a beautiful place. It comes from love. But here's what no one tells you. A child who never struggles never learns they can survive struggle. And that changes everything. Psychologists call it overparenting. Researchers at universities across the country have spent decades studying what happens to children when parents constantly intervene, and the results are uncomfortable. Kids with over-involved parents show higher rates of anxiety, lower problem-solving ability, and a weaker sense of self. Not because they were loved too much, but because they were never allowed to sit with hard things long enough to grow from them. Think about what the word resilience actually means. It doesn't mean never breaking. It means bending and coming back. And here's the science behind it. The brain has a system called the stress response system. When a child faces a challenge and pushes through it, that system fires, learns, and strengthens. It builds what researchers call stress inoculation, a kind of emotional immune system. But that system only develops when a child is actually allowed to face difficulty. And this is where things go wrong. Every time you step in too quickly, every time you solve the problem before they've had a chance to try, you essentially press pause on that development. Their brain never gets to complete the cycle. And over time, they stop believing they can. Here's a question worth sitting with. When your child comes to you upset about something, what's your first instinct? Is it to fix it? To explain why it's not a big deal? To distract them? To make the feeling go away as fast as possible? If you said yes to any of those, you're not a bad parent. You're a human parent. But it's worth understanding what that pattern is quietly teaching your child. Here's a reframe that might change everything. You are not your child's problem solver. You are their safe base. Those are two completely different things. A safe base doesn't rush in and take over. A safe base stays close while the child figures it out themselves. There's a famous concept in developmental psychology called scaffolding. It was developed by psychologist Lev Vygotsky. And the idea is this: your job as a parent isn't to do things for your child. It's to do things just alongside your child, just enough to help them reach the next level on their own. Think of it like a building under construction. The scaffold holds things up temporarily, just enough support, just long enough, and then it comes down. And the building stands on its own. That's what healthy parenting looks like. But here's what most parents accidentally do instead. They become the building itself, and the child never has to be. Let's talk about what this actually looks like in real life, because it's not always obvious. It looks like doing your child's homework because it's faster. It looks like calling the teacher when your child has a conflict instead of helping your child find the words to handle it themselves. It looks like letting them quit every activity that gets hard. It looks like filling every quiet, bored moment with a screen so they never have to learn how to sit with themselves. None of these things feel harmful in the moment. They feel like good parenting. They feel like you're helping. But it gets deeper than that. What you're really doing is sending a signal over and over again that says, you can't handle this, but I can. And children believe that signal. They internalize it. They start to see themselves as someone who can't cope without help. And then one day they're grown and the world doesn't rush in to fix things. The world doesn't care that they never learned how to fail, and they fall apart. So what do you actually do instead? Because this isn't about becoming cold. This isn't about letting your child suffer alone. It's about something much more intentional and honestly much harder. The first thing is this: when your child is upset, your first response shouldn't be a solution. It should be a witness. Sit with them, say, "That sounds really hard." Let them feel the feeling without rushing to drain it. You are not failing them by letting them cry. You are teaching them that emotions are survivable. Second, and this one is powerful, start asking instead of telling. When your child has a problem, before you solve it, ask them, "What do you think you could do?" Most of the time, they'll have an idea, maybe not the best one. But the act of thinking through it with you nearby builds something real inside them. It builds belief. Belief that there is someone who can figure things out. Third, let them fail at small things now while the stakes are low. Let them forget their lunch once and be hungry. Let them lose a game without you softening it. Let them feel the sting of a bad choice. Here's the part no one tells you. Small failures in childhood are not damage. They are training. They are the rehearsal for every hard moment they'll face as adults. And finally, watch how you talk about hard things. If you say, "Don't worry," every time they're anxious, you're teaching them that worry is bad and should be avoided. Instead, try, "That's scary and I believe you can handle it." That one shift tells them two things at once: that their feelings are real, and that they are strong enough to meet them. There's a quote from the psychologist Michael Rutter that has stayed with researchers for decades. He said that resilience is not a trait people have or don't have. It's built through experience. Through ordinary moments of difficulty I worked through with just enough support. That means every time you resist the urge to jump in, every time you stay calm while your child faces something hard, you are doing something extraordinary. You are building a human being who knows at their core that they are capable, that they can survive. That hard is not the same as impossible. The boy who fell off the bike doesn't need you to kiss every scrape. He needs you to stay close while he gets back up on his own. That's not less love, that's more. That's the deeper kind, the kind that trusts him before he trusts himself. The kind that says, "I know you can do this, even when you don't." And 10 years from now, when he faces something genuinely hard, something you can't fix, he won't crumble. He'll feel that old, practice knowing rise up in him. "I've been here before. I got through it then, and I'll get through it now." That's what you're building. Every single ordinary day.